Sometimes life leaves us standing at the edge of everything we thought we knew, stripped down to the last flicker of hope, staring at the ruins of our own mistakes. For Rachel Martinez, that moment came on a cold Tuesday morning in late November. The air was thin with the scent of rain, the sky the color of ash, and in her hand she held a deed to a house she had never seen, one she'd bought for $1. The woman at the courthouse counter had looked at her like she was insane. "A house for $1, she said. "You know why it's that cheap, right?" Rachel just nodded. She didn't care. She was 38, jobless, drowning in debt, and raising an 8-year-old daughter who deserved more than the backseat of a rusted Honda Civic. So when she saw the listing, a forgotten house in the Montana mountains, abandoned for decades, something in her broke open. It didn't matter that it was a ruin. It was a place. It was theirs. As she drove north, the city fell away, replaced by fields of frost and endless trees. The radio crackled, then died, leaving only the hum of the engine and Emma's soft breathing from the back seat. Rachel didn't believe in fate. But sometimes when you have nothing left to lose, even ghosts can start to sound like hope. The road to the house wasn't much of a road, just a ribbon of cracked asphalt dissolving into gravel, then into dirt. It twisted up through pine forest that swallowed the light, each turn tighter than the last. Rachel's hands ached from gripping the wheel. Her old Civic groaned against the incline before finally giving up, hissing a long sigh of steam. They walked the rest of the way, two figures swallowed by fog, their breath ghosting in the cold. When they reached the clearing, the house stood before them like a memory the earth hadn't yet forgotten. 2 stories of warped wood, shutters hanging by threads, its roof bowed but unbroken. The porch steps moaned under their weight, and the front door was ajar, its hinges rusted but still alive enough to complain. Inside, the air was thick with dust, each step stirring the past into motion. Emma trailed her fingers along the walls, tracing invisible shapes. "It's not so bad," she whispered. Rachel wanted to believe her, but the house felt wrong, not empty but expectant. The kind of silence that watches, the kind that remembers. They made camp in the living room that first night, building a fire in the old stone hearth using splintered furniture and broken banisters. The flames painted the walls in trembling gold, revealing bits of wallpaper still clinging to the past. Faded roses, peeling at the edges. Outside, the wind rose and fell like the breath of something ancient. In the darkness above, a loose shutter banged against the siding, once, twice, 3 times, then silence. Rachel lay awake long after Emma had fallen asleep, her eyes tracing the ceiling where water stains formed shapes that looked almost like faces. Somewhere upstairs, a floorboard creaked. Not the random groan of an old house settling, but a deliberate weight. Slow. Measured. She held her breath, every muscle tightening. The sound came again in a pause, then 2 more steps. The fire hissed softly, spitting embers across the hearth. Rachel's heart pounded in her throat. "It's the wind," she told herself, but the lie felt brittle. When morning finally came, sunlight pierced through broken glass and dust, landing on something she hadn't noticed before. A series of carved symbols etched into the wooden floor. Circles within circles. Ancient, deliberate. A message from someone, or something, that had been here long before her. The following days bled together, marked by the rhythm of survival. Rachel scavenged through the nearby woods for fallen branches, boiled rainwater, and patched walls with whatever scraps she could find. Every nail she hammered felt like defiance. Every creak beneath her boots a reminder that the house wasn't done with her yet. Emma spent her time exploring, her curiosity untouched by fear. One afternoon, Rachel heard her daughter call from upstairs, and not frightened but amazed. "Mom, you need to see this." She climbed the narrow staircase, each step groaning under her weight, until she found Emma kneeling beside a wall where the paint had chipped away to reveal something impossible. A hidden panel, perfectly fitted, almost invisible. Together they pried it open with a screwdriver. Behind it was a small room sealed in dust. No windows, no light, just a faint smell of cedar and thyme. Inside lay objects wrapped in linen, each tied with twine so old it crumbled at a touch. Rachel unwrapped one and froze. It was gold, Not jewelry, but a coin engraved with markings she couldn't recognize. Another bundle held a small statue, its eyes made of blue stone that seemed to glow faintly in the dark. And beneath it all they found a book, its cover cracked, its lock rusted shut. Rachel opened it with trembling hands. The first page read, "If you have found this house, then the mountain has chosen you." The book belonged to a man named Nicholas Hartley, an archaeologist from the late 1800s whose name had vanished from history. His handwriting was elegant but frantic, the words looping and uneven as if written in fear. Through its pages a story unfolded, one of discovery, betrayal, and exile. Hartley had uncovered proof of an ancient civilization that predated every known culture, a people who had mastered mathematics, art, and astronomy long before the Egyptians or Sumerians. He had tried to share his findings with the world, but the powerful had silenced him. The artifacts were seized, the evidence destroyed, so he hid what he could far from reach in a house he built with his own hands, a vault disguised as a home. "This house," he wrote, "is alive. Its bones are the mountain, its heart, the secret it guards." Rachel read those words aloud, her voice shaking. Emma asked what it meant, and Rachel didn't know how to answer. All she knew was that the same hum she'd felt in the walls that first night had grown stronger, like the mountain itself was stirring. The carvings on the floor, the strange warmth in the walls, everything was connected. The house wasn't haunted by ghosts. It was haunted by purpose. That night the fire refused to stay lit. Every flame flickered out as if swallowed by unseen hands. Rachel followed the hum through the house, down the hallway, through the kitchen, into the basement she hadn't yet entered. The door resisted at first, then gave way with a groan that echoed like a sigh. The air below was damp and heavy, smelling of soil and metal. She found a lantern and descended the staircase, each step older than the last. At the bottom she found something that took her breath away, a circular chamber carved into the mountain itself. Stone walls lined with alcoves, each holding an artifact that shimmered faintly in the lamplight. Golden discs etched with impossible languages, shards of glass that seemed to move when you looked away, and at the center, resting on a pedestal, a crystal skull. It wasn't human, too elongated, too perfect. When Rachel lifted the lantern closer, light refracted through it, filling the chamber with colors that had no name. Emma's voice echoed behind her. "Mom, it's beautiful." Rachel nodded, but her stomach tightened. Some beauty wasn't meant for human eyes. The air buzzed with electricity, a low vibration that seeped into her bones. She could almost hear words, not in her ears but in her mind. Guard it, but secrets like these never stay buried. 2 weeks later, Rachel noticed vehicles parked at the edge of the forest. Black SUVs, their windows tinted, engines idling in silence. Strangers came to the door, polite but predatory, offering money and promises that stank of danger. They called themselves historians, investors, government representatives, liars with expensive shoes. When she refused, the tone shifted. Threats cloaked as kindness. "You don't know what you're holding," one man said, his smile like a knife. But word travels faster in small towns than fear. The locals, people who had once looked at Rachel with suspicion, now stood beside her. Old men with hunting rifles, young families who believed some things were sacred. Scholars arrived soon after, real ones drawn by whispers of discovery. Together they studied what Hartley had left behind. The artifacts connected civilizations oceans apart, symbols identical in Egypt, Peru, and Mesopotamia. Proof that humanity had once been one. The world began to listen. And as the media descended, the mountain became a beacon, a place where history had been reborn from ruin. But for Rachel it was simpler. She hadn't found treasure. She'd found truth, and in it a reason to believe again. Months passed, and the house transformed. The holes were patched, the walls painted, the hearth alive with warmth. Scholars filled the rooms with light and laughter. Children wandered through hallways that had once known only silence. They called it the Hartley Museum, but to Rachel it was still just the house for $1, the place that had given her back her life. Sometimes at night when the mountain winds rose, she sat by the fire and listened. The hum was still there and was softer now, content. She liked to imagine Nicholas Hartley was still somewhere in the shadows, watching over his creation, proud that his secret had found the right keeper. The artifacts were now displayed under glass, their mysteries open to the world yet somehow still alive, whispering stories in a language only the heart could understand. Emma had grown taller, braver, her laughter echoing through the halls like a song. And as Rachel looked out over the valley, she realized something profound. She hadn't been chosen by the house. She had chosen it. Because sometimes the places we find at our lowest are not meant to break us. They're meant to rebuild us. If you believe that even in the ruins there's something waiting to be reborn, like, share, and subscribe. Because somewhere out there, another forgotten house is waiting. And its story might just be yours.